be working towards?
Absolutely. It's a great question, and I think if you asked me a year ago when I created my vision board to what it is today, even in that the answer's changed. But
hello everyone, welcome to the Spotlight session. I have a really special guest on the show today, Neena Popat, and she's going to be sharing her journey of how in 2020 she got herself educated in real estate investing and how in 1 year she was able to close on 2 separate deals and how those 2 deals are generating her massive cash flow. And she's going to be sharing her journey of how she got to be there and all her learning lessons that came with it. So without further ado, let's get started.
What types of projects are you working on?
Yeah.
What strategy is the main focus for you?
Absolutely. So through TYT, I've done a few different classes, everything. And I know I was speaking to John earlier today, and he was reminding me of all the classes I've taken, all the classes I have yet to take still. So classes I've taken include income properties, creative financing, and rent-to-own lease options. I can't believe I forgot that one because that's one of my main strategies. But in terms of the strategies that I'm focusing on at the moment, so we have a rent-to-own company that we've started and established, and the website's launching next week, so definitely very much looking forward to that.
Exciting.
We're doing a few multi-units as well. So Sudbury, New Brunswick, kind of venturing out to a few different areas and doing the traditional kind of BRRRR strategy of buying, renovating, renting them out, refinancing them, and repeating it. Mm-hmm. And then we've done a little bit of private lending, so you getting creative with RRSPs and figuring out how we can use that to help other people with their projects and vice versa. So
I love that.
Yes.
So working on rent-to-owns, going to new areas really, or markets like New Brunswick.
Yes.
And getting yourself, moving that way. Because I did hear a rumor.
Mm-hmm.
I call it a rumor, but a message through the grapevine that you did or are completing a deal even right now.
Yes, I am. So we are actively involved. One just closed last week, but actively involved with 2 bigger projects in Sudbury right now, and big for my standards for what it is now, but I know maybe baby steps for people like experienced investors like yourself.
Yeah, I still work with residential properties.
So it's a 5-unit and a duplex, 2 different properties, and essentially just huge learning curves. I feel like as much as you take the classes, which are essential, fundamental to this whole thing or this whole journey, application and what you learn through that is just another learning curve. And it's been exciting, it's been fun, it's been challenging. Feel like you have a lot on the line, but at the same time, it's each little success, you get that thrill out of it, and you kind of want to keep going through the journey. So
it's like a big game.
Yeah.
And I do love how casual though you're about that. It's like, I'm working on a 5-plex, a duplex, no big deal. Like, that's a big deal. That's exciting stuff.
We're so excited. It's really good. I'm just, if there's wood somewhere, but, just knock on wood, it all kind of goes according to plan, and it's good. I never understood when someone said there's good debt, right? And I think being in debt is not necessarily a bad thing as long as it's good debt and not over the doodads or things like that yourself and Jeffrey and other mentors and coaches had coached us through in the very beginning.
Yeah, absolutely. Like, having debt, as long as you're using that debt to generate profit with it,
yes,
then of course we utilize it. Kind of like a mortgage. You get a mortgage and it generates passive income from rental.
Yes.
It's good debt. So absolutely, when you have that, the difference, and you're not just the doodad spending on, tapping a credit card, buying a brand new TV that doesn't make you any money.
Absolutely.
So it definitely it makes a lot of sense. So you're working on lease options and income properties,
yes,
you said. So the deal that closed, was that a rent to own or lease option?
No, so that's a multi-unit kind of income property.
Oh, okay.
The rent to own that I've done is in partnership earlier this year. That was actually my first deal.
Okay.
And Nikin will be the first person to say, I think yourself, and he told you this the other day as well, where you had told us where your first deal actually paid off your investment into the financial education and signing up. And we didn't think it was possible. And for us, the rent to own will do that for us. And so, again, it was, and the amount we've learned, we would do it all over again twice type of thing, right? So that was our first deal. And since then, and that started in May, and I feel like as soon as May 2021 hit, we've been kind of just spiraling, kind of taking lots of action and going forward. I don't feel like there's enough time in the day necessarily. And sometimes I wake up and I tell Nick, and I'm like, I just want to work on my business all day. It's like, I just want to do this all day and just figure out how to prioritize so many different parts of life right now as well. So.
Well, it is fun. Real estate is exciting stuff, especially when you have deals on the go, opportunity in front of you.
Absolutely.
So I love that though. And yes, I do remember the conversation you were sharing that, like, it actually works. Oh my God. Yeah. So a question I have too is, when did you actually start investing?
So we started investing in, you mean like our first deal, or what do you mean by that?
When you got educated, really, like. So
we started getting educated officially kind of last January, and then we took a break for about 5-ish months or so. Okay. And then we started with TYT in August. And so it's been just over a year, I guess.
Wow. So in 1 year from you starting with TYT, of course, you had a little bit of experience prior to. You're able to close a rent-to-own.
Yes.
You're working on, or you closed a rental property.
Yes.
And now you're working on a 5-plex and a duplex.
Yes.
In a year.
In a year, yeah.
I love how casual you are about that. Yeah, it's no big deal. Like, I'm just, nothing too crazy. Like a couple of years ago, I wasn't even sure if this was possible.
Absolutely.
What I'm doing is just, I want to show you the growth that you've gone through. Because I remember meeting you day one, and just hearing what you've gone through is really exciting.
Yes, absolutely. It's been, one of my cousins actually just said that to me the other day, because I was kind of sharing with him some of the progress we've made on this journey, and he was like, when did you buy your house? I said 2 years ago, or October 2020. And at that point, he was educating me as to what a home equity line of credit is, and and he's like, now you're using that to make money. And I'm like, yes, he was just mind blown. And he was like, you're teaching me, and I was teaching you before that 2 years ago. So it's incredible, but my journey would have not been possible at all without yourself, without Trust Your Talent, without my mentor, Jeffrey. And it is so amazing to see the synergy of all of your energies together, the value system that you all share, and being able to surround myself with like-minded people. It's very inspiring for myself.
I love that. It is amazing. I love our community.
Yes.
And Jeffrey, I know, is amazing as well.
Yes.
What he does. What's your main, number one goal, right now that you're in real estate investing, you're working? So what are you working towards?
Absolutely. It's a great question. And I think if you asked me a year ago when I created my vision board to what it is today, even in that, the answer's changed. But I think my why, or what I'm trying to accomplish, hasn't. And essentially what I'm trying to do is, design life on my own terms, start building a passive income to help support our future family, help continue to inspire everyone else around us, and do something different, and still be able to apply myself through everything I've learned and keep trying to accomplish something new.
I love that. Mm-hmm. So setting yourself up for the future family, being able to live on your own terms and do what you want to do. I love it. So let's say if you had the family here, you had your own terms, you're able to do that, what would you do?
Yeah, and actually I forgot to add one thing. So I have this vision of being on vacation and being able to kind of work remotely as well, right? Building my own business, my own empire. And so that's what I'm very much excited about as well. In terms of, to answer your question, what would I do? Funny enough, I remember our first coaching, our first strategy call before I signed up for TYT Trust Your Talent, and you asked me the same question. And I remember it so and I remember it so specifically because I was in our bedroom and I was sitting there and you asked me that question, and I still remember what I said to you, and I still actually mean that as well, is I want to be able to give back to people, empower people to be their best. Sometimes, and I've been so lucky to have coaches, mentors in all different walks of life, and still coaches with TYT, my life coach, kind of all different people in my life who are empowering me to be better, to be more, to do more. And I feel like when you're in school or a traditional schooling system, you have that around you, whether it's through your parents or through siblings or through sport coaches. But into adulthood, we don't necessarily continue to evolve in that essence. And so if I can still empower people to do that, achieve more, be more, and I don't think I'd be able to do that unless I have time. And if you have time, and that's what this is about as well, it's time freedom to a certain essence as well.
I love it. And
Yeah.
I do remember our first coaching call. It's, I remember all my students' first coaching calls and
Yes.
that. And so what's been one of you had to say one, I know there's probably gonna be a million of them.
Sure.
You have to say like one of your biggest takeaways, like biggest aha moments since like the moment you started with Trust Your Talent, even up until now. What's been that aha for you?
That's a hard one. I feel like there's so many that are just like flashing in my head right now. I think the biggest thing that just it keeps kind of screaming in my head right now is taking action. I think it's one of those things where if you ask, again, Nikin and I, both of us, we thought, okay, we'll sign up for the course, we're gonna learn, and then we're gonna, work with our mentor and get deals done. But what I'm realizing, and that has been kind of on a bird's eye view level of things, yes, that's what's happened essentially, but you have to take action. If, you can sign up, you can work with a mentor, but unless you're gonna put that energy in, and use your mentor work with your mentor as a sounding board and really to help guide through decisions using their experiences, I think that's where you're going to get the most value out of it, and that's what they're looking to do too, from what I understand anyways, is to provide their wisdom, their challenges, and help make you better. And that's what I so appreciate with our time with Jeffrey is he will always challenge us in a constructive way to say, well, what are you thinking? And tell me what you're thinking first before I tell you what to do or to guide you in a certain direction. And the other part is networking. It's the biggest part of this journey, I feel, is keeping your feelers out there, keeping your hands out there, having conversations. And I think through conversing, that's how I got my first 2 deals done. Was just through networking, and it's not necessarily even within TYT, which is a huge part of it, and I think that's your safe zone as well of meeting like-minded people, but even putting yourself out there and networking with other investors, and you'll quickly start deciphering between educated versus uneducated investors. And if you were to ask me, everyone's an investor to a certain essence, right? They put money into a home, into their first home, they buy a condo or whatever they want to do, but being an educated investor and working with like-minded people who share the same visions, who understand the strategies.
So you work as a pharmacist as well right now.
Yes, so I'm a pharmacist. I am a pharmacy manager as well, helping manage a few different locations. And kind of just evolving in that world too, taking a few steps back as well. Love taking care of patients and people, help empowering teams, help build organizations. So that's what I thrive to do.
How is it that you go from pharmacist to real estate investor?
I know. It's weirdly connected though. I mean, not connected in terms of obviously pharmacy and prescriptions and medicine, but I find the worlds do align in terms of it being a challenge, trying to achieve different goals. You're able to still network and connect with people, which is what I enjoy in the pharmacy world of things. Your question was, how did I go from one to the other, kind of in this hybrid of everything right now? Essentially, we were on a 4-week trip with family out in Uganda and Kenya in December of 2020. And we're sitting at the back of this broken kind of bus, kind of wobbling along some of the dirt roads in Uganda. And my husband's family, a lot of them are real estate investors themselves.
Oh, okay.
It's a world that we knew was there, and they're doing very well in it, and they're very successful, but not a world that made sense to us necessarily, or we didn't really understand what it was or that it's even possible. And one of them specifically, or two of them, got me to read Rich Dad Poor Dad, and they said, you know what, you have to read Rich Dad Poor Dad, and more so not to make a career change necessarily, but to understand kind of having multiple streams of income and building kind of all parts of life and how to look at things through a different lens. And that book was absolutely, so I came back and I bought the book, I downloaded the audiobook, because just based on what they explained in terms of their story, it was so inspiring and so different as well. And when I came back, read the book, took notes, I have my own Coles Notes versions of the book as well, and was inspired essentially to try and do something different. I didn't know what it was going to look like, but it was, let's try something else. I attended a few conferences, seminars, kept trying to network with different sorts of people who've done it, been through it. Almost had a smaller version of a book club, if you want to call it, with his family and with my husband's family. And
like, you guys organized it with just yourselves, like you brought it.
Well, I had discussions because I was so mind blown with some of the concepts, and just it's stuff we don't learn in school necessarily, that I think is so important to have awareness about. Financial education is huge. And for us, when we moved into our home right before that trip in October 2020, Nikin had arranged the mortgage and the finances, and refinance his condo so we could buy the house, and it was all steps I never really got involved in myself. He took care of it, he did it, I trusted what he did. But once I read these books and started doing some of these seminars, I was like, I'm ready to learn, and I want to take this on as well and actually make something of it.
If someone's sitting at home right now and they're on the edge, they're not quite sure whether or not to get invested or what they should do next, do you have any advice to help that may help them out in their decisions or journey?
Absolutely. So I think talking to someone can help, talking to someone who's gone through the journey and maybe helping that person be a sounding board. And I'm more than happy to be that person for anyone kind of looking for that. They're on the ledge of, what to do next, or is this the right path for them or not. It's, I think, having a strong why and being also ready to take action. I think about 2 to 3 years ago, I wouldn't have had the time in order to fully invest myself into going down this journey. And I think simultaneously I've had to adjust the other part of my life as a pharmacist, for example, and kind of make some changes there in order to allow me to dedicate time to this journey as well. And so I think A, having a strong why, B, making sure that you are able to put the resources in terms of time, and knowing what you're looking to do next with that time. I think that's essential.
And yeah, I love the way you said that, and even it's very true, like having that why, which is that goal, that vision of the future of where you want to be, to implementing.
Yes.
Like taking that action that you were saying, because you are right. It's, that we have a common phrase, simple versus easy.
Yes.
So real estate is very, at the core, simple, but it is not easy to do because, like you said, it does take a lot of work.
Yes.
So the fact that even earlier you had mentioned, you're like, I'm so grateful that you were able to help us, but really we just shared a little bit of knowledge and you were the one that took the action. So
sure.
I love the way you said that, and yeah, super, super important.
Well, I think a big part of it for us, right, or for myself anyways right now, it's about working smarter, not harder, and just figuring out how to maximize that and yield better returns on that. So better returns on my time, which is just,
Yeah, and I do love that you even are leveraging the creative side, like your RSPs making better than average returns, and being able to do some private lending now and rent to owns. You've done so many strategies now. It's amazing. Do you have any final thoughts or anything else you'd like to share?
No, I just want to say thank you to all of you. I mean, I have goosebumps right now. But thank you to you, to Jeffrey, to Tim, Ray, Ryan, and Brooke. I know I'm missing people, but to all of you for putting this community together. And I think, you guys are you're inspiring others to be more, do more, and I think that's amazing. So, and definitely impacted our lives. So.
Love that. Well, thank you for the kind words in that, and I really am grateful that you're here, and it's amazing to see where you were to where you are now, and
absolutely
definitely going to have you back on the spotlight session to see where you are even the next year. I can only imagine.
I'm looking forward to it. I'm definitely very excited. So.
Yeah, it's going to be amazing. So I'm going to give you a hug. And
yes,
thank you for being here.
Thank you so much.
That concludes today's spotlight session with Neena. If you did like and love Neena's story, click that like button at the bottom. Press that notification bell at the top to stay up to date on all our brand new content. And of course, smash the subscribe button to become part of the community. I'm your host, Kyle Body, and Trust Your Talent's mission is to create financial independence, one person at a time. I look forward to seeing you in the future videos.